Happy Camper Radio starts in 3, 2, 1. Oh, the weather is picture perfect. Hello, everybody. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And this is the Happy Camper Radio Show, episode 149. Glad to be back in the studio here with you again. And I've got a real exciting show for you today. Something we're going to talk about. And, I thought about this here, I want to say about a week ago. I try to think of show ideas far in advance, but this one struck me because I am about as guilty as anybody else when it comes to going away on vacation and thinking about work. Now, I don't do it anymore. I try to avoid that at all costs, but there was a time in my law enforcement career, and of course I was middle management, and I just could not leave the office behind. I was taking phone calls. I was helping people get through their issues and problems and things that they had to deal with, and it was taking a toll not only on my family, but also the time that I had reserved to spend time with them and take in some of the outdoor activities and things that we planned while we were away. Working and camping is not a good mix. We're going to talk about that on the show today, so stick around. Our phone number here at the Happy Camper Radio Show is 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've made it so convenient for you to connect up with us. Go to www.happycamperradio.com. You'll find all of our social media icons on the right-hand side of the homepage. Click on any one of them, and you'll connect up with us. Take the studio tour. See what we do behind the scenes. Also, some useful camping tips. A lot of information right there at one convenient location, www.happycamperradio.com. Let me run over to our shout-out window and welcome some newcomers to the show. First of all, let's say hello to Patrick O'Malley, Ainsley Barrett of Denver, Colorado. They like us on Facebook. Republic RV Sales, The Limes Campsite in the UK, Amy from Michigan. They follow us on Twitter. And finally, to Richard Mejia from the North Pole. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Glad to have you on board. And more importantly, thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Would you like to be a guest on the program? I'd love to have you. Get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. We'll make that happen. Last time we got together, we were approaching the Memorial Day weekend. And folks, we got another holiday coming up here very soon, the 4th of July. It's amazing how quick these holidays come about. But one thing I found this year, on Memorial Day, we had a lot of campers leaving out a day ahead of time. Instead of getting an early start on Friday, some folks were calling in a day sick, some people were taking the day off, and they were leaving out on a Thursday. I think that's a great idea, because what happens is you avoid all of that rush, you avoid all of that traffic, and I love to hear more and more people making an extended weekend out of a weekend holiday. Now consider the 4th of July coming up. This year it's on a Monday. So no doubt a lot of people are going to be leaving out on a Thursday, staying through the weekend, staying through the 4th of July, and coming back on a Tuesday. That makes it a 5-day weekend. Doesn't that sound great? I think more and more people ought to be doing that. Take advantage of as much outdoor activity and adventure as you possibly can. Pack the gear, make your arrangements far in advance, because especially on these holidays, folks, you're going to have a hard time locating a campground that is not filled to capacity. Weekends, especially the good weekends, the nice weekends, where everybody's planning to get out, are making their reservations far in advance. You want to do the same. So if you haven't already done so, get online. A lot of great places to go camping. Some places near you, some places are a little far away. You may have to do a little driving, but you'll get there. and you're sure to have a wonderful, wonderful 4th of July weekend. Make the absolute best of it. Also on the show, I want to knock out a couple of things here, folks, before we get started. Remember, I was talking to you about my lovable, adorable, adoptable black Labrador Retriever, Sadie. Well, Sadie was going into surgery the last time we talked. She had a knee injury. She injured her right knee, and unfortunately, it required some surgery, some costly surgery, I might add. But she's doing well. I posted some pictures on social media if you want to go ahead and check them out. Sadie is doing well, like I say, and she's going to be requiring some much-needed attention here over the next 8 weeks. It's one of these type of surgeries where her activities are very limited, and that's often difficult when you have a dog that's only 2 years old. And Sadie is very, very active. She's very aggressive. She wants to get out and have fun. And right now, it's just, one of those things that can't happen. So, unfortunately for me, that's going to curtail any camping plans I had for the next 8 weeks, because between myself, Lori here, who was on the show last week, and between the two of us, we have got to keep her really settled down. And that's going to be a challenge. But we're going to make the best of it, and hopefully she's not going to injure her left knee like she did her right knee, and we're not going to have to ever go through this again. But if you're a camper, if you're a pet lover just like I am, you know you're going to do anything in the world for your pets because they are part of your family. And Sadie is a part of mine. You know, I mentioned at the end of the program, at the end of each show, do like I did, go to your local shelter and adopt a pet. It's so important. They bring you so much love and happiness into your life. I haven't had a dog in a very long time, and when I laid my eyes on her at the shelter, I just knew that this was going to be a perfect match. She was going to fit right into the family, and I have no regrets about that whatsoever. But I'll keep you posted on Sadie's progress as we move along. Lori, like I say, it was a real pleasure to have her on this show. Isn't she a doll? Lori is just one of these individuals. I mean, she can walk in the room and brighten up any day. She is going to be on the program periodically talking about some different camp menus, things you can prepare not only at home, but right there at the campsite. Lori's not much of a camper, but I'll tell you this much. She knows what she's doing in the kitchen. She followed her grandmother's footsteps. She told me this story a long, long time ago. She cooks wonderful food. She cooks wonderful baked goods. And some of these menus are just really off the chart. And I'm so delighted to invite her onto the program periodically so she can share some of her menu ideas that you can take out on the road with you the next time you go camping. So look forward to having Lori on the show periodically. Also, our friend Gary Sizer, do you remember him? He wrote the book, Where's the Next Shelter? Gary, we met him when he hiked the Appalachian Trail. He did it in 5.5 months, and he stayed in touch with us while he was out on the trail. Anytime he had an opportunity to get within cell phone range, he called the show, and he left a message, and we were delighted to have him on the program. Well, his new book is out, Where's the Next Shelter? If you haven't already gotten it in paperback version, you might be interested in purchasing the brand new audiobook. Now, what's so important about Gary's new audiobook? What's so special about it? For me, anyway, Gary recorded that audiobook right here in the studios of Happy Camper Radio. Yes, it was really exciting to have Gary here. It took him an entire week to actually record the audiobook. Plenty of outtakes. Now, and a lot of editing had to be done on Gary's part, but we actually had him in the sound booth here in the studio. And if you go to happycamperradio.com and take the studio tour, you'll see exactly what type of equipment and what features we have here in the studio to bring a top quality radio program to you. I also use the sound booth for my recording profession, which, I do, professional voiceovers. And I was more than delighted to allow Gary to come in here and record his audiobook. It took, like I say, a week because Gary had to stop on a number of occasions. After you talk for so long, you've got to stop or you're going to wear your throat out, and it's very easy to do. That's one of the reasons I don't do audiobooks. I'll do commercials, narrations, and things like that. but it takes a tremendous amount of dedication and effort to put in to recording an audiobook. Gary did it in a week. And after all the editing was done and he sent it off to the publisher, they were extremely pleased with the audio quality. And you'll hear it if you get his new audiobook, Where's the Next Shelter? And it's available now in the iTunes Store as well as Amazon.com. Where's the Next Shelter by Gary Sizer. We're going to have him back on the show to talk about his new book here shortly down the road. Hey, folks, if you haven't already made your plans for the Great American Campout 2016, what are you waiting for? Go to their website right now. I have a link there on our homepage where you can take the pledge to go camping one night this summer, and your pledge will benefit wildlife. Why? Because the national sponsors for the Great American Campout are going to donate $1 for every individual who takes the pledge, all the way up to $100,000. It's something I've been promoting for years here on the program. I take part in it each and every year. I have already made the commitment. What are you waiting for? Go to www.happycamperradio.com. You can find a link to the Great American Campout as well as a link to the pledge form. Just fill it out, send it on in. That's all you have to do. Make the pledge and go camping one night this summer. Also, I have some very exciting news that I meant to share with you last time we got together. Folks, Super Bowl 53 is coming to Atlanta, Georgia in the year 2019. Yes! The city of Atlanta was awarded Super Bowl 53 here just a couple weeks ago. Why am I so excited about this? Ever since starting Happy Camper Radio, as we approach the Super Bowl season, I have tried relentlessly to get in touch with campground owners that were in the host city of a Super Bowl. And I managed to get a hold of a couple here the last couple years, and they were excited about coming on the program. I wanted to get a feel of what it would be like to be in a camping environment where you had a lot of folks who came to town, some of which, of course, are going to be going to the Super Bowl. Some will just hang around to be a part of the festivities and all the activities and maybe just stay there at the campground to watch the big game on a flat panel TV. You can do that, too. You can still have as much fun. But anyway, I had run into so many problems because the days that we set up interviews, the campground owners were so busy. The campgrounds were filled to capacity. There was always something going on. And unfortunately, the campground owners could not even set aside 10 minutes to do an interview and talk with me about that. Well, guess what? Super Bowl 53 coming to Atlanta in 2019. I am going to be retired by then, and I for certain am going to hook up with a local campground, and I am going to bring the Happy Camper radio show on remote from their location as part of Super Bowl 53. Super Bowls are very, very exciting. In my law enforcement career, I participated in 2 Super Bowls here in Atlanta over the years. First one was Super Bowl 28, which came to Atlanta in 1994 it was. It was between the Dallas Cowboys and the Buffalo Bills. Had a lot of fun there. I didn't actually go to the game. I was not working at the game, but I was assigned a detail at one of the local hotels in downtown Atlanta. Same thing in Super Bowl 34, which came in the year 2000. That was between the St. Louis Rams and Tennessee Titans. But it was a very, very festive atmosphere. Not everybody is going to be staying in a 5-star hotel when they come to a Super Bowl town. There will be a lot of people just like you and me who go camping and have fun doing it. And I'm looking so forward to Super Bowl 53 in the year 2019 right here in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're a sports fan, you definitely won't want to miss the fun and activities that we're going to have for you. Okay, folks, enough of that. Let me talk to you a little bit about camping and the importance of leaving the office behind. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I'm pretty guilty about this myself because I've done it in the past, and I wish I could take back time. You can't do that. You learn your lessons. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how much experience you have at anything. You can always learn a very valuable lesson. Not everybody can do this. There are some jobs out there today that require their employees to stay in touch with the office. I don't think it's a good thing. You probably don't either. But again, it's happened to me. Now, one of the things here, if you take your job on the camp outing with you, it's going to take your attention away from what's important, the outdoor activities and time with your family. Think about why you're going camping in the first place. A lot of us have vacation time. We take vacation time. Why? To get away from everything, to get away from the work environment, to spend time with our family. Unfortunately, because of the electronic technology that we have today, it makes it very, very convenient for the office to stay in touch with you. I can remember years ago when there was no such thing as a cell phone. There was no such thing as a pager. There were no such things as computers. There were no such things as internet. All right. There were no such things as email. But they surround our lives today, and it makes it so convenient for anybody, anywhere, to touch base with you. If you have a smartphone, and a lot of us do, you can get your emails almost instantaneously. You can get your phone calls right there, wherever you carry your phone. And it makes it so convenient for anybody, not just the office, but anybody in general who has your number, who has your contact information, to touch base with you. And a lot of people are not even thinking about the fact that you are away on vacation. You're taking time to spend with your family, and you shouldn't be focusing on the job. There was a study done in 2015 by the British Psychological Study, and you can find it online at ScienceDaily.com. That's where I came across it. And it's a very interesting report, and basically what it states is employees using various technological devices to stay switched on for work outside of office hours may face detrimental effects to their well-being and their private life. Think about it. Read that article. Look it up online. It's very easy to find. You don't want to find yourself in one of those positions. Now, on the other hand, if you're a business owner, let's say you own a business. Your business is your livelihood. You're more likely than anybody to be thinking about the job while you are away spending time with your family. You're just going to be well-tuned to the office while trying to dedicate as much of your free time as you can to what's really important. And that's the time that you're spending at the campground with your family and going around different places, seeing different sights and sounds and what have you. These type of owners will tend to stay in touch with the office to make sure that everything is running just fine, even though they may leave work in the hands of a certain trustworthy individual who they know when they walk away will get the job done and not have to bother you for anything. You're still going to want to stay in touch to make sure everything is running smoothly. And if you're in one of those positions, the only thing I can suggest is maybe call in the morning, call in the evening, and just let it go. Don't think about the job during the day. The only time the person who you have trusted to make the key decisions in your absence should call you would be in an emergency situation. That's if you're a business owner. Now, again, I want to point out, there was a time when there were no such things as the electronic devices that we have today. Pay telephones were everywhere. They were in abundance. Remember that? When was the last time you laid your eyes on a pay telephone? I don't even think you can find them at the airports anymore. I came across one while traveling down to South Georgia here a few months back, and it was at a rest stop. I snapped a picture of it because I didn't think I would ever see one of those again. Now, I'm up there in my ages, and if you're up there in your ages too, you remember a time when you wanted to make a local telephone call, all it cost you was a dime, and you were limited to 3 minutes. You did not have unlimited calling. Later, it went up to a quarter. And if you were going to make a local call, or even a long-distance call for that matter, you better had a lot of pocket change with you. Because that was the day back then when, that's all you had to communicate. Outside of snail mail, I mean, if you wanted to send somebody a letter, you had to drop a postage stamp on an envelope and send it on off to wherever it was going, and maybe 5 or 6 days later, you would hear back from somebody that they got your mail. Oh, I want to call them the good old days, but maybe we don't look at them as good old days these days. I don't know, all right? Now, some companies do provide cell phones to their employees. These type of companies are more likely going to require people to stay in touch and be available to take calls after business hours. And this may include weekends, holidays, and vacations. Now, if you're planning a vacation, here's what I would suggest to you. And again, I've been down the road. There are certain things that I will not do again if I can ever help it. Always let your office workers know that you're going to be out of touch. You're going to be spending time with family. If you are in a middle management position, if you have any type of authority whatsoever on your job, you should be assuming from everybody that you don't want to be bothered. Delegate authority. If somebody is going to fill your shoes, if somebody has to make the decisions for you in your absence, that should be the go-to person. Managers should designate a replacement that they can trust that will get the job done. And that person should know right from the get-go that if anything goes wrong and somebody above you cannot handle the situation, only in an absolute emergency should you be contacted while you are away. Again, appoint somebody who is trustworthy. Always remember this. The job was there the day you got hired, folks. There's no doubt about it. You applied for a job. You were looking for a job. And, depending upon your age, this may not be your, where you're going to retire from. Some people stay on the job 20 or 30 years. That's fine. I thought I was going to stay in law enforcement for 30 years. That lasted 18 years, and I had to get out of it. I had to find something else to do because the way things were going, and you got to understand, unless you're a law enforcement officer, you don't understand exactly what these individuals go through, especially in today's day and age. I look at what's happening in our law enforcement profession, looking at the 6 o'clock news, looking at cable news, and a lot of these guys are really taking a beat down because once somebody who is a police officer does something wrong, something that violates the public trust, it paints everybody with a very broad paintbrush, and it really makes the entire profession look bad. There was a time when people in law enforcement, and trust me, folks, I'm sitting here running off my mouth right now, but there was a time when people really respected their law enforcement officers. People in the communities supported their police, and unfortunately, it's not that way anymore. But nobody wants to get a traffic ticket. Nobody wants a police officer unless they need one. So, you definitely don't want to run into a police officer when he pulls you over for speeding 20 miles over the limit, because he's going to ruin your day for you for sure. But, unless you're looking for directions, unless you have a specific question you want to ask of a law enforcement officer, you really could care less if they're there. All right? So, you got to put yourself into a position, well, okay, I've got this job right here. This job means everything to me. I've worked my way up the ladder. I've been here a number of different years, and I've worked my way into management, and I still, like anybody else, need some time off. And you're going to have to take that time off to recharge your batteries, to get yourself back into position where when you return to work, maybe a week or two later, you're going to feel absolutely refreshed about yourself. You're going to be ready to take the world by the horns and be able to do what you need to do. For myself in law enforcement, I got some camping in periodically, but a lot of times when I took my 2 vacation, I was out working second jobs, working extra jobs and not spending the time that I needed with my family. Folks, don't do that. If you have some vacation time, if you don't have a bunch of projects around the house that you need to work on that's going to take a good amount of your time, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your family. If you promised your family you're going to take them on vacation, stick to that. Don't disappoint them in any way, shape, or form. You don't want to do that, folks, because, the kids will remember that. And I wish there was some times that I could go back and just start over again and stop putting work so much in front of the family. Now, of course, the family didn't have all the nice things that they have today if I wasn't working. But still, you gotta weigh a balance here. You gotta determine what's important. Is it going to be your time away giving them nice things, or is it going to be quality time that you're going to be spending with them? So if you're going to go camping, if you're going to go on vacation, and you're going to get away from the office, I don't care what position you have in the office or whatever job you're working, try to let the office go. Because remember, folks, there was a day that you got hired, and most likely later on down the road, there's going to be a time when you leave or the time you put in for retirement. That job is still going to be there. It's going to survive with you or without you. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Yep. With the weather being as nice as it is, campgrounds are open everywhere, and you don't have to look very far to find one. This week, we're going to go up into one of my places that I used to loaf around in way back, maybe 20 or 30 years ago. I'm going to take you to the state of Pennsylvania, to Red Bridge Campground. It's part of the Allegheny National Forest, and it is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. The Red Bridge Campground sits on the eastern shore of Kinzua Bay off the Allegheny Reservoir in northwestern Pennsylvania. So beautiful up there, folks. I can't describe it to you in words. It offers a peaceful getaway for families and outdoor enthusiasts. The Allegheny National Forest covers nearly 500,000 acres and is populated primarily with black cherry, maple, and other hardwoods. The Kinzua Dam, which incidentally was built in 1965, impounds the Allegheny River to form the 25-mile-long Allegheny Reservoir. In the wintertime, folks, it gets tremendously cold up there, and snow piles up 3 or 4 feet high. If you're going to do your camping and you're into summer and springtime camping, this would be a great time to go. The campground is wooded with mature black cherry, hemlock, and birch trees. The grounds are off the Longhouse Scenic Byway, a 29-mile loop that circles the Kinzua Creek arm of the Allegheny Reservoir. The Red Bridge offers roughly 65 reservable sites, each with a picnic table, fire ring, and tent pad. They have hot showers, vault toilets, drinking water, and a dump station is also provided. Some sites are by the waterfront, others have a view of the water. Sites with electricity, water, and sewage hookups are also available. Check out their list of amenities and activities right there on their website. I'm going to have a link to it on Happy Camper Radio all week long. But it's a great place to go camping if you're looking to get away anytime this summer and you're living up in the Pennsylvania area or just happen to be passing on through. Consider Red Bridge Campground. It's our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And, of course, if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, by all means, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com, and make sure you include a link to the campground website. Folks, that's about going to wrap things up for me here on this edition of the Happy Camper Radio Show. As always, it's a pleasure having you around, and be sure to stay tuned for our next edition. And I think you're going to enjoy what we have for you lined up this summer. Remember, folks, every pet deserves a loving home. Do like I did, visit your local shelter, and adopt a pet today. You can find us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And no question about it, my friends, I'm going to do my very best to make a happy camper out of you. Talk to you again soon. You're listening to Happy Camper Radio.